Hello, I'm Matt and welcome to Badger Workshop. So this is the UJK Dovetail Router Cutter Thingamajig. So I've used this in a few projects and every time I have, people have asked about it. So I thought I'd show you kind of how it works. But first of all, I have never used it to its full potential. Okay, I'll tell you why I got this. Loads of these on the market from different manufacturers, and well, there's certainly more expensive ones, but there's plenty of cheaper ones. But not all of them can cut box joints, as you might have guessed from people refer to them as dovetail jigs. But this one can also do box joints and half-blind dovetails. So I have never done dovetails or half-blind. I've only ever used it for box joints. And that's the main reason I got this model. The other reason I got this model is because it comes with a dust hood. And I try and be conscious of dust collection in the workshop, so I thought that was a great feature. Anyway, coming closer and I'll show you what came with it. So we've got the unit itself, and they recommend mounting it on a bit of wood. So I had a couple of bits of 18mm ply glued together, knocking around, so I just screwed it onto that. And that just gives you enough room to get some clamps on either side. But you could, I don't know if you saw my video about mounting a vise in a vise, so you could do something like that. But yeah, you definitely need to secure it onto the bench. So it also comes with a dust hood, another comb, I guess you call them, or guide for doing a different cut, Allen key, a couple of bushings, a couple of router bits, and a manual. I wouldn't normally show you the manual, but if you saw my problems with Metabo and how awful the manuals are, this is a really great manual. Colour photographs of every stage, how to set it up. Really made something that looked quite daunting and complex extremely easy to do. So very good manual. So these router cutters that come with it are to cut the dovetails. But as I say, I've never used it for that, and this is the router I use, the Makita. This is a 18-volt one, which is very nice. But you need a router that's going to fit these bushings. Let's get a calipers and show you. So they're 35mm. So I had to buy this brass plate to fit in my router to fit these, and I actually ended up getting this set, and I didn't, well, the other bits have come in useful since. I'll put a link to this below, but that is something you'll need to get straight away if your router won't accept these bushings. So these are 1/4" bits, and the other thing it didn't come with is the router cutter needed to cut the box joints. I think this is 1/2 inch or 12.5mm. I'll check that. No, not 12.5, 12.7mm. So straight away after buying the kit, I had to buy 2 more things to actually be able to do the box joints. So the first thing I do is set up the router. And that means the larger of the 2 collets goes in the router. And the 12.7mm bit goes in. So I've got a couple of scraps of wood, same thickness and width. You've got this guide here, so with the Allen key, loosen that off and move it over. Then we got a bit of wood in and pull that down. So that does nothing because it's not tight enough. So then we can tighten these up, but we want to get it even, the same both sides. So we're applying even pressure. And there, that works nicely. So this guide bit, I've pushed it all the way over, but you can see the washer actually protrudes past it, so you can't push it all the way over, so you've got to move it back. And then if I tighten it up, Let's see if we can see this on camera. Move that over. That's not bad, but to move you over, we can see it's not quite square because it's just pivoting on that one screw. So what I tend to do is push my bit of wood in and get it up so it's touching the comb all the way along the top. Then I push that against the bit of wood, so then I know it's at 90 degrees to the top comb. We need to set the depth of the router. So the depth of the router needs to be the same depth as this bit of wood. So I use the second bit of wood. You could use a marking knife, but I prefer a pencil because it's easier to see. This then goes in with a line at the top. Then I can take the router and plunge it down until, I wouldn't say I'm at the line, I tend to go slightly over it because I'd rather sand the joints back than not have them big enough. Now I can get the dust hood in place. Now this is also the rest for the router, this bit of aluminium. It had a couple of plastic tabs that hold it on, and unfortunately, because I take it off to store it, mine snapped off quite easily. So my nil-fisk vac just pushes and clicks in there nicely. So that was just one pass, and the extractor is starting to get clogged up. These are quite big chips it takes out, and this is a very small 90-degree turn with a small hose, so there's bits everywhere. So I often find this can get blocked up after the second or third cut, and then it's pointless, it's just clogged. So this is something I'm planning to improve on. Now, if I was making a box, I would then release this and then flip it so the same edge is here, but the bottom bit's at the top, and then cut the joints again. Then I'd put another piece in and do the same, and then I would need two different pieces. So to set it up for the second cut, you take that and move it up between the teeth. Now you need to get it perfectly centered. So this is tricky to do. So after some experimenting, I've just got a strip of wood and I kept wrapping masking tape around until I got it. Look at that, I've nailed it first time, never do that. So that is perfectly centered. With that done, then you can release that, push it against the bit of wood, and that is your second position. So in theory, we'd have done both ends of that and of another piece. We get our next piece in, pushed all the way up against the comb, locked in place. Right, let's see if this works. So it's normally pretty obvious which way it goes. I'd normally sand it all because this is pine, so it gets a bit fluffy. So you've got the one small tooth and you've got the one small bit there. That is pretty damn good. So I'm pretty pleased with that joint. It could use a sand. I've got the depth pretty much perfect. I think I might have, if I was to do it again, set the router bit 1 mil, half a mil deeper, just so I've got some protruding fingers that I can then sand flush afterwards. But that's pretty good. So when you've got some experience, you can knock up a box. If you're this size, 4 sides, that's probably, you know, say a drawer, in a minute. Okay, so that joint came out all right. So what do I think of the machine? Would I get it again? So I got it for two reasons. It can do box joints, which is the main thing I wanted it for, and it had the dust collection. Well, the dust collection's not very good. It performed okay today because we was only cutting one corner of a box, but often I'm going to make 4, 5, 10 boxes at a time. It can't cope. It gets blocked up, and then at the end you realise you've been running your Hoover for 20 minutes for no reason because it's just you're straining the motor because it's blocked. It's been on my job list to try and sort it out. So now I've said it, maybe I'm going to do a video trying to improve the dust collection on this. But it's a good machine. I like it. It's easy to use. The first time's a bit of a learning curve, and then now I can get it out, do a box joint without reading the manual in a very small amount of time. So as I say, I'm not using it to its potential because I've never done the dovetail or the half-blind dovetail. So maybe next week I'll have a go at both of those, and you can see me learning. So you'll see how, if I can get it right first time, then it must be easy. I don't imagine I will. Anyway, so we'll look at that next week. But yeah, loads of people are interested in it. So that's how it does finger joints, at least. Anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks to my patrons, and please subscribe for more videos.